Hi, welcome back, another video. I thought I'd do a bit on this, but I need to pull the hat off of this thing and see why we've got a leaking exhaust valve. Is it because it's bent, because somebody overdid the lifter and there isn't much clearance between the piston crown and the valve and it's clouted, it does happen, or is it just rusted up? Because there's no real lubrication to these valves, there's no oilers, there's a bit of greaser for the rocker shaft. So I'll get you in a bit closer and we'll rattle this head off a bit quick. Pull the valves out and have a look and see what we've got. Right, then I need to take the injector pipe off, get that out of the way. I don't find a bung to put over where the pipe goes on, stop any dirt going in. I'm not taking the injector out, there's no point. Get that one out of the way. There's a leak off pipe, by the way, not the high pressure feed line, this is the line from the pump. Because I don't really know the full story on this. I've checked the big end, there's no real play in it. So you just don't know if we got any damage in the top, because the gentleman that was working there sadly passed away. So we can't ask him what he was doing. Here we go, swing on this like a gorilla. Now, you can't get the push rods wrong, one's longer than the other. Now I can buy the cam follower, they come as a pair from Stationary Engine Parts. I think they're about £35 a pair, so I don't need to make a new one that's readily available, and I can get a valve, but it may not be bent, it may be stuck, so I need to get amongst it and find out. Let's see what happens. I'll do that. Rocker shaft off. I'm interested to see how tight the actual head is on on the studs. Hopefully not too tight. Come on. Off you come. There we go. Right, what have I done with the rag? Let's go and find a bit of rag. So amongst all the bits, I put the fuel filter housing back on and all the pipes and that, and made gaskets. So if I didn't film any of that, didn't see much point. I'm missing a few studs, which I'm going to have to get hold of. I'll make. Right. I haven't bolted the engine down yet. I will, in order to run it up. But for now, I need to just get amongst this, because in case I need to order parts. Well, I know I need to order a cam follower. But whether we need a valve, don't know. Yeah, I might have to get a big bar on it. No. Right. Yeah, now some little caps that sit on top of the valves. Take those off. He says don't drop them, so we don't lose them. All the core plugs look all right. Now I've been to see if this is actually going to come off. I might have to get the engine crane in to lift this. Let's get a hitting stick and a copper hammer and give it a bit of a tap. Because I have no idea when the last time this head was taken off. Oh no, it is moving. Yeah. I might have to get a crane on it to get hold of it. No, it's coming. Hurry up. Yep. Man, caster one seems to get heavier as you get older. Okay, interesting. Now, that is picking up on the camera, but there's no impact damage on the top of the piston crown here, like you would see it if the valve. So lots of carbon, That ball's good. Yeah, just lots of carbon. Now, I've got some composite head gaskets for this. I've had real hassle with supplied copper gaskets, not of original manufacture but aftermarket ones, that they leak, and it looks like this one was blowing out and then blows combustion gases into your cooling jacket, which you don't notice. It bubbles out through the tank, but of course if you've got a radiator on there, it bubbles out through the top of your radiator, it will pressurise your system. So yeah, classic problem I've had with these over the years, but that is very encouraging. There's a little bit of wear, but nothing to write home about. There's some rusting in the top of the cylinder. It's probably not going to pick up on that, where it's been sat. I had one of these years ago. It came from Scotland. It was, I think, it was to do with winching or something for boats. I don't remember now. But somebody taken the injector out and poured paint in the top, put the injector back in, done it all up, left it at TDC on a compression stroke so the valves were shut. Of course, the paint set and sealed the top of the piston up. So if any moisture got in, it never rusted up because it wouldn't turn over. So I took its head off, and there was about 5mm thick solid paint layer that literally just came off with a scraper that had sealed the top of the piston to the ball, and it was perfect. Then the rest of the engine was an absolute disaster. That is, other than wanting a good clean, that is very reassuring. What we'll do, we'll get this up on a bench and we'll pop them valves out and go from there. Hopefully this will come out all right. I'm a little concerned these valves look quite recessed into the head. Certainly the exhaust does, which is a troublesome one. So this may need new valves, and it may need head machining and new valve seats fitted. And also, I don't know if you can see it on the camera there, but where these constantly get filled and drained, they're hop cooled, the amount of rust and corrosion, so this head wants a damn good clean out. So I think we'll be pulling the whole thing to bits. Well, let's whip the valves out and see what's what. These need a bit of a tickle with a hammer to get them to pop, the collets to pop free, or valve retainers. Yeah. Yeah. They have been in there a long time. Come on out, come here, monkey. Didn't bring a little screwdriver over, did I? Go and get one. Alright, out you come. One. And two. Right. Ugh. This is the inlet. Yeah, this engine's obviously done a bit. This is the inlet. Yuck. Yeah, this one's been leaking too. There's like burn marks on the valve seat, and it's been grounded a few times. There's a lip. So I'm going to see us having to put new valves in and get hardened seats fitted in the head as well, which is, you know, just how it goes, I'm afraid. And a lot of people say, oh, it's only a show engine. Well, I don't know what's going to happen to this engine, you know, so it doesn't matter if the valves aren't perfect, all the rest of it. Well, if its compression's not high enough, it won't start anyway, because of leaky valves. And somebody's may want to put this back to work. Our 6 horse on the saw bench, that has worked hard since we rebuilt that all those years ago. It's It's worked really, really well actually. Okay, well there's a big lump of snot on there. Put it in the camera. You see that? Will you focus on it, you stupid thing? There you go. Now that may have been what's been sticking under the valve seat. Causing problems. I think what we're going to have to do is get this thing thoroughly cleaned up, decalmed all the muck out of it, and have a look. Yeah, that is really recessed in, that exhaust valve. I mean really, it's been recut. It's got a nice face to it. It's got a decent amount of face material left, but that is right in there. I mean right in there. It's not going to fall right through, but by the time I've ground it, it's not gone concave. If you over grind these, you end up with the valve face, that bit there, that there. Instead of being a nice straight cut, they end up going concaved. And neither of these look like that. They've certainly been ground a few times. But I'm going to get this thing cleaned up, as I'm not going to video it, there's no point, it's a filthy job. And we'll come back once we've got it all nice and clean and make a decision on what we're going to do with it, whether we send it in, or order 2 new valves and send it in and have hardened valve seats machined into the head, or once it's all cleaned up we just lap them in. Yeah, there's some funny grind marks on that exhaust valve. Yeah, this valve's been machined. I can see it's been in a lathe looking at it. Yeah, I think we're going to be in for new valves and valve seats, I think. Anyway, I will get this cleaned up and we'll be back. Well, parts have arrived. Like an idiot, I didn't order one of the parts I needed. I managed to get from Stationary Engine Parts, this is not sponsored, I bought it out of my own money, a genuine exhaust valve, non-genuine pair of cam followers, because obviously one of ours is busted, and it's that one that we need, which is the adjustable one for the exhaust. It even comes with gaskets, but the problem is, yes, the exhaust valve is bent. If you roll this on a flat surface or put it in a lathe, you can see a wibble in it. And this is the exhaust valve guide that actually they unscrew on these CS diesels, and I never expected this to come out, and it did. But this is so loose, I don't know whether it's going to pick up on the camera. The focus is stupid thing. So I need to order a valve guide. But we can grind in the inlet valve and see what happens. The inlet is a press-in guide, not a screw-in guide. But we also found out this is a 5 horsepower top end. I know that the label on the engine says 3 horsepower or 600 RPM. This engine has had the barrel, cylinder and cylinder head changed. The piston, cylinder and cylinder head changed. Because instead of being 3 3/4 inches, which is what the 3 3.5 horsepower engines were, everything above that was 4.5 inches with these size valves. It's definitely 4.5 inch piston and cylinder, and this is a head for a 5 or 6 horsepower engine, or even the 8 horsepower engines, because you can run them faster. That was all. So we need to just see if we can tickle this inlet valve up. Somebody has to say, like I said in the videos earlier on, somebody has fiddled with it, so I'm going to give it a go. I don't do it by hand. Have an oil can. Why have I not got an oil can? Hang on, I'll go and get an oil can. Right. The interesting thing is, did this engine have an upgrade? Did it go in for overhaul at some point and go from a 3 horse to a 5? Because it was cheaper, maybe it was worn out. Who knows? All this stuff gets lost with time. Yeah, this valve's worn alright, but the other one's worn really weird. Because it's got a slot in it, I put a bit in the end of a drill and do it this way. It's easier than using those sucker things, especially with rusty valves, because they don't stick. And the guide on this is good. The valve doesn't flop around like a stick in a dustbin. But I'd say the exhaust is absolutely hopeless. If they will clean up and we can get a decent surface, that'll save having to have them machined and use hardened seats put in. I could set up to do it myself on the mill, but it's one pair of valves, it's not worth it. Let's see what we got. Anything positive happening. Don't want to go mad, we just want to get a decent surface. Oh, that looks pretty good. It's what the seat comes up like is the important thing. I'm hoping it won't take a lot. This is going to be almost impossible to pick up on the camera, I should think. Okay, that's not bad. If there's just one slight low spot there, I reckon another go with that. We've got a nice matte finish with no pit marks in it at all. Let's give that another go. And that's what we're trying to achieve. And hopefully with a new guide and a new exhaust valve, which hasn't been machined down as much as the old exhaust valve, we will be able to do the same. Which will be really good. Let's see what we got. Obviously when you put this engine back together, I need to do what we call the squish or the bump clearance, which is basically the gap between the piston crown and the cylinder. It's very straightforward to do. It's supposed to be between 45 and 50 thou. I looked it up. I'll show you how to do it when we get to that point. Hey, that's cleaned up a treat. Lovely, that's nice. I don't know whether the camera will pick this up. Let me zoom in a bit and see if we can see. I don't know if it's going to pick it up, but it's a nice matte finish all the way around, nice and even, no pot marks. The valve is the same. So that will seal, that will be absolutely fine. Excellent. So I will order a valve guide, an exhaust valve guide. So I never expected that to come out. And I'll do the same with the other one. I won't video it. There's no point, you know. And I'll put the head back together, and then we'll do the bump clearance, which is fairly straightforward to do. I have no idea whether the pump and injector work. This engine has definitely run in this configuration, so all we can do is put it back together, and now it makes a bit more sense with that valve having a bend in it. I don't know whether this is going to pick it up, but there we go. It's worn really funny because it's got a slight bow in it almost. And that's, I reckon, because if you hit this, you can make it seal, it'd go over one compression, the valve would operate and it wouldn't quite seat. And I reckon it's because of that wear and the fact that it's so loose, it wasn't sitting right on the seat, and the fact that it's been machined small as well. combination of things perhaps. Either way, we have a workable solution here, which is excellent. So I will get another part ordered, which I should have ordered first, and we'll be back. Right, we're at the point we need to put this back together. The head's all built up. Gaskets. That's the, you remember, that's the one I took off, which is blown. If it had an extra bolt there, it probably wouldn't do it. These are these more modern ones. This is Lister 8 one, but they are identical. The hole in the middle is the same from 5 horsepower upwards. So this will fit. Only goes on one way. So he puts it on the right way. Because you've got to do the bump clearance with the gasket and measure everything, and because you're not going to heat cycle the gasket, we're just going to compress it to check our clearance using some thick Tinman solder. You can reuse the gasket, you're not wasting a gasket. But unfortunately I had a bit of a problem. Remember I said I needed to order a valve guide because the other one was so badly worn and I didn't think it would machine. That is a valve guide I ordered. Screwed it in the head, finger tight, went to nip it and it just snapped. And I mentioned it to the supplier and I got an AI generated word salad of "it's my fault, you idiot." It was definitely AI generated, it was paragraphs. Like I was an imbecile and didn't know what I was doing. I don't pretend to be an expert or know all the answers, but I didn't break that, it broke. So the old one, which I'll insert a photo of it somewhere on here, I bored it out, clocked it in the lathe, bored it out, which made the wall thinner, and I thought because it was so badly worn, because the valve was bent, it would snap. Then pressed in a bit of solid brass, 90mm down, because it doesn't go all the way to the end, it stops about there. Put it back, I did it on hydraulic press, it was interference fit. Stuck it back in the lathe, clocked it in, and then bored it and reamed it to take the new valve. And then put it in the head, screwed it in finger tight like that, and then nipped it the same way. And funny enough, even with the thinner wall, it didn't break. Which kind of leads me to think maybe there was something wrong with this. And it wasn't actually my fault. And then it suddenly occurred to me, when this was delivered, it came in a jiffy bag inside a clear plastic bag, sealed plastic bag that the post office had put it in. And there was a hole in the jiffy bag. I do wonder if this had been dropped on several occasions on a transit to me, and it had punched its way out the bag, hence in a plastic bag, and it had caused a fracture at this point. I don't know. All I know is it's busted, and to be fair to Station Engine Parts, they did, after telling me I was a nupty, it's all my fault, and they take no responsibility, yada yada yada. They did offer to send another one out at cost, and I thought, you know what, these are only 25 quid. I don't really want to waste any more money. If I couldn't repair the old one, I would have machined a complete one out of some suitable material from scratch, which I can do, but again, it's time, it's always time. So sadly, defective parts possibly, yet again, because we seem to not be able to get hold of parts for anything these days that is of any good, whatever it may be. The engine is now bolted down. I did modify the chassis, I didn't bother to film it. I welded some plates underneath and join the angle together so the engine is sitting on it, and I put a drawbar on the steering axle so now we can now move it. Now this is Tinman solder. It doesn't have any flux in it. It's what they used to do for, I think, soldering lead together and stuff like that. This is thicker than the gap we need between here and the head, so I want to cut a couple of strips. Don't need to be very long. You need 2 pieces. You put it across where the gudgeon pin is on top of your piston, so you get even pressure. I'll get you a bit closer so you can see how it looks, because you obviously can't see this from where you are, so I'll just move the camera so you can see what I'm doing. Right, you can just see the solder there. The idea is to put the head back on without disturbing anything, put all the bolts on and torque them up to the correct torque. So you squish that, take it apart, and so you won't damage the gasket because you're not going to heat cycle it, and then measure the thickness. Now, according to the internet, because I have got a proper book of words for one of these, original Lister one, I can't find it, but it's here somewhere. It should be between 40 and 50 thou clearance between the top of the piston crown and the cylinder head. Because when the piston is at top dead centre on the exhaust stroke, it actually floats both valves before the piston goes down on the inlet stroke, and the exhaust valve finally shuts and the inlet valve then opens. So you need that clearance so they don't clout. And also, if you've got too tight a clearance between the crown and the head, your compression will be too high and it'll pre-ignite. And obviously, if the gap's too big, you will have too low a compression and it probably won't start. Now, this is where I give myself a hernia and put this cylinder head back on. I say, cast iron just seems to get heavier as one gets older. Right, I'll stick this back on. It says. I have absolutely no idea why all that rust fell out of that cylinder head when I was doing the squish and bump clearance. We're just checking it really on this, because I put it in the parts washer and jet washed it, and some stuff still came out, as you clearly saw. But I have redone it off camera, made sure there's no rust in it, and redone it, and I'm happy that it's within spec. So back to the rest of the video. Right, we just need to put a bit of oil on the studs. Yeah, I suddenly realised I can't get those nuts off the socket with the rock shaft in, so I'm not going to bother for this bit. I'm just going to do up the 6 round here to squash the head gasket down at the important points, we hope. Right. Now, according to the Tenternet, and it could be wrong, but it sounds about right, the 9/16 bolts are 65 foot-pounds and the 3/4 bolts are 100 foot-pounds. So we'll do them all up at 65 and then take the big ones down to 100. So this is a right fiddle because you've got to do the job twice effectively, but this is just how it is. And if you've got to adjust it, you've got to take shims out, cylinder base gasket, which means pulling the whole lot to bits. So I'm hoping, because this gasket is 0.4 of a mil thicker than an original head gasket, but of course that was compressed. So hopefully, by the time this is torqued up, it will compress to where we need it to be. Right, that's 65. And then we'll take the big ones up to 100. Bump the engine over compression and make sure we squish that solder and it doesn't just push the piston down. Right, I can't feel anything squidging, so and I know that solder is thicker than required. I measured it. Right, let's whip them off. Whoops. Right. Because if the gasket, if that clearance is, say, too big, compression is going to be too low and it won't run. So we'll see. Don't think we compressed it. It should have been fine. Did it squish it or did I miss it? No, it did squish it. Only slightly. I'll get a vernier and see what we've got. It doesn't have to be any more than that. Well, that's at 62 thou, not 50. I need to check that the information on the internet is correct. This has squashed it, but not very much. Yeah. So that is going to be a bit wide. So that means pulling the barrel and piston off. How much of this gasket did that squash up? Because that squashed up to the same thickness as the old one. Now, the question is, do we take a chance as it's not too tight and say, let's put it together and see if it'll run, because we're 12 thou too wide, or do we pull the barrel off? That's the next question, isn't it? Because there's gaskets and shims under there, or hopefully I have had these where there's no gasket or shim in there, or there's just a very, very thin gasket, and I've ended up having to machine the block, which I don't really want to do if I can avoid it. So I think what we'll do, I'll go and have a look up and see what I can get away with. I don't really want to pull it any further apart. Right, after doing a bit of looking up and that, I'm not going to worry about the fact this is very slightly bigger gap than it should be. It is only a few thou. The next job is to sort this cam lifter problem out that's broken off, and it normally means valve pit piston whack snaps them off. It's quite common unless it got impact damage or something when it was being moved. The problem is with these, that bit on the bottom, the actual cam follower itself, that bit won't go through that hole. You undo that top, and obviously this bit comes out, and that goes in from underneath, and the body then goes in through the top. Now I went away and had a cup of tea after I said we were going to pull the camshaft out of this, because normally when I've got these engines apart, it's a bare crankcase painted, ready to go back together. So you build it up from that form, and I didn't really want to take the cam out, fuel injection pump off, and I might still have to yet, because I don't know whether it works properly. But I did wonder, if you take the outer sleeve that it runs in, which comes out the top, off, it leaves the cam follower itself, this was broken off obviously, sat on top of the cam, and I thought, if I put the piston at TDC with the cam on the compression switch, the cam lobe is right down, can I get my hand in through the inspection door and lift it off the camshaft? Well, you can. And then I've obviously put the replacement in and then slid this on from the outside, and jobs are good. So that saved me an awful lot of work, and it is all back together. Push rods are in, valve clearance is done, got an exhaust pipe on it, intake. I am currently trying to get the fuel system to go. Is it timed up correctly? Will the pump work? Is the injector going to work after all these years? Heaven knows. That's the next bit. Well, is it going to start? I don't know. I've been winding like Windy Miller. Was it off of Trumpton or Campbellwick Green? I can't remember. To bleed it, to find that the injector nozzle was stuck and it wasn't opening and firing the fuel. So I just took the nozzle apart, warmed it up gently with a hot air gun, managed to tease the centre out, which was jammed. Polish it up with some Scotch Brite and some lube, and it's now creaking off. I don't know if it's going to run. Assuming that pump works and we get fuel at the right time. I did check spill timing, it does seem somewhere sort of nearish. So we'll give it a wind and see. I have put a tube at the back, you can't see it on the camera, that connects. It's just a U-tube with a spout. So there's water in the head and the cylinder, so I can run it for a bit longer than a few minutes and warm it up after we've seen it, if it's going to start, that is, of course. Let's give it a go. All right. take that as a yes. Cool. Not much smoke either. I'll just stop it because you won't hear me over that exhaust. Well, that was a result, wasn't it? It's got a new fuel filter in here, so basically it just needs a cooling tank putting on and a fuel tank. And we have a cooling tank to go with it, and in an original CS fuel tank. It's got a dent in it which will probably beat out. It just needs a frame making on the back here to take the cooling tank, connect it up. I'm not going to do that bit. My job was to get this to work so I could pass it on to someone who would finish it off and enjoy it, because I've got one over there and I've had several of these old CS diesels. But you've got to remember, this is marked up as a 3.5 horsepower and it's not. It's got 5 horsepower guts, so it's actually more powerful than it says. I haven't checked the pressure of the injector fires off at, because if you read the book of words, I think it's 75 atmospheres for 5 and 6 horsepower engines and 100 atmospheres for 3.5 horsepower engines. And I don't have a ejector pop tester anymore. I ought to buy another one. I had one years ago and didn't use it for years and years and years and got rid of it, but every now and again it would be handy. But there you go, it runs. So we'll call that it for this video. This is now available for sale, so if you would like it, get in touch. I'm not asking a huge amount of money for it, a few £100, you know, cover my costs. Is that good enough? So I'll say thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next one.